Lifestyle Live. Come and see, you'll agree. There's a positive energy. Lifestyle Live.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Lifestyle Live Podcast.
Faces you know and a team you can trust. Stories that form your heart. Lifestyle Live. Lifestyle Live.
Early school start times, academic overload, and added screen time. When it comes to sleep, studies show teenagers are the most sleep-deprived population in human history, all at a critical phase in their development. In this Lifestyle Live podcast episode, Heather Turgeon and Julie Wright, authors of The Happy Sleeper, share the dangerous effects that lack of sleep can have on teens and what we as parents can do about it. This is the Lifestyle Live podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Lifestyle Live. Lifestyle Live.
Well, sleep deprivation, I tell you, it is a real thing. And as it turns out, the most sleep-deprived group of all is teenagers. Who would have thought, right? So what can we as parents do? That is the question. Joining me right now is Heather Turgeon and Julie Wright, authors of the bestseller, The Happy Sleeper. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, my goodness, teenagers, right? So of course, first when I read that statement, I was thinking new mamas, because I've been there, and sleep deprivation. I mean, it can affect so many of us for different reasons, but as a parent myself to an almost 9-year-old, I'm thinking of this in my mind, like with all the stuff she's going to be in. And I remember from when I was a kid in school too, this is a real thing that I know can have some everlasting effects. So really as a parent, where do we begin? I'm going to toss it on over to you ladies.
Well, yeah, it is shocking. I think a lot of people we didn't even really understand before we started researching this book, just how severe and pronounced the sleep deprivation is for teenagers. So about 70% of young kids sleep well. About 60% of adults sleep well, but only 15% of teenagers sleep well on a regular basis.
Wow.
So, and their sleep over the years is shrinking. So even for them, their sleep time is going down. It's getting worse. So we were shocked. I mean, and there are so many factors that contribute. You mentioned all the activities. Mm-hmm. That's a big one. And then academic overload in high school. A lot of high schools have 2-3 hours of homework easily every night.
And that's a lot.
Yeah, there's just so many factors. Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting, Julie, maybe I'll pose this question to you. When I come to work in the morning, I mean, fairly early, I'm leaving my house at 7. I see kids standing at the bus stop and I'm thinking, wait a minute. So you've probably been here since 6:50, 6:55. I mean, that seems super early as well. And I'm thinking, what time are they going to bed to get up at a certain time? That seems really early. Is that a contributing factor as well?
Absolutely. So like Heather was saying, too much homework, too many activities, and then technology, these are all squeezing sleep on the bedtime side. And then too early school start times are squeezing it on the morning side. And the math is just impossible. They literally do not have time to get even close to the amount of sleep they need.
And then you add in sports and extracurricular activities. And then you also say phones, social media, screen time. I mean, this is a different age, being an adolescent, being a teenager now than what it was when I was in high school. So Heather, how is that really affecting them? And I think the big question, what can we as parents do about it?
Yeah. So the question about how it's affecting them, I think it's a myth that teenagers don't need as much sleep, that they're tough. They can just tough it out. Not a big deal. They can kind of make it.
You're young, right? You'll be fine.
Yeah, you're young. You can, exactly. That is an absolute myth. And we just want people to really understand what's going on in a teenager's brain, because a teenager, when kids are little, like when they're toddlers, their brains are exploding with growth, right? That they need sleep because their brains are changing and growing, and teenagers are actually the same. They're going through another period of brain restructuring. So sleep deprivation is one of the greatest threats to their mental health. I think that is the thing that really that's the thing that really touches parents the most and really is concerning. I think the most concerning to parents is how mental health is affected by sleep loss.
I think so too. And then maybe teenagers don't always understand, I guess, when they're kind of in the thick of it. So what else can we do as parents? Is it about structure? Is it about routine, Julie?
Well, those things are definitely important, but you're not quite there yet. But once our little ones become teenagers, just imposing structure routines doesn't really work anymore. We have to start by really leading with empathy and listening and starting a conversation based on what they care about, so that the choices and the changes come from them. We want to help them become self-motivated, because they're just not going to respond well to being told what to do. They are really busy becoming their own unique selves. So it's we always like to start with listening, with empathy. Maybe they'll say, like, I want to do better at sports or at school, or I don't really like the way I look so much, or I want to feel better. And those are opportunities to start to talk about sleep in a non-sort of directional way.
I'm curious too, in your book, do you cite perhaps examples, or have you heard from parents who, like, yeah, I understand my teen went through XYZ and this is how it affected them? Do you have any potential stories to share on that from people who this has really affected in a negative way?
Sure. Yeah, we talk to a lot of teenagers. One kind of case study that we have in our book is a really, active kind of team captain doing all the sports, just go.
Yeah.
And she had a school that started at 7:45. So she was just chronically sleep deprived.
Yeah.
And she got mono, and she really couldn't get over it. Her immune system was so shot that she really just couldn't get over having mono. And, parents tell us stories like that a lot, that their kids are basically struggling to make it through the day. They're one parent told us that their child was taking Benadryl every night to try to fall asleep. Kids are, taking melatonin gummies and all kinds of stuff, because they feel they are absolutely squeezed, and it's really painful for them.
Well, and it's such an increase of pressure, right? It's sometimes that pressure to be perfect. I mean, I remember being in high school, especially if you're one of those students who does strive to, be involved and be great athletically, and then get the good grades, to get the scholarships, to get the money for school. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, which I know that you say, could lead to lower GPA, could lead to depression. And it's interesting to me that you also mention the incidence of car crashes too, which of course, as a parent, is so tough to hear, because you're already dealing with, that's so scary at 16, 17 years old, right? So it almost like just keeps piling on.
It keeps piling on. And yes, risk for more accidents, poor decision-making, more risk-taking, and more, sadly, more substance abuse and more suicidality. So all of those things increase. But the good news is that, we have a lot of sort of practical advice for families and things you can do in the home. But we also want to make it clear to parents that this is not a book saying to parents, like, we're pointing the finger at you, you need to change this. There's no
here's
way.
What you need to do. Sure.
It's a call out to society for systemic change. Schools need to give less homework. They need to move the start times later. Colleges need to, make the sort of requirements for applications less rigorous and crazy. And technology needs to start to work on more responsible design. So we're really bringing all of the perfect storm factors together and saying, please, all of you, please help our teenagers. And we can help. Heather and I are sleep specialists, so we can help with the home and we can help with communication, but we can't on our own change those societal issues.
Well, and Heather, it really is a group issue, right? Because I would imagine in your book, The Happy Sleeper, that you guys do offer, advice, like Julie said, and practical steps that we can take with our kids. But at the end of the day, it's these other factors that all have to come together to really create change, I guess you could
That's
say.
so true. It's so true. And our first book, The Happy Sleeper, is a parenting book. Parents can read it. They can do the steps. They can change their babies or little kids' sleep in under a week. You know, it's like
Oh, wow.
so amazing that you have that control as a parent, that
Yeah.
you can really like affect change in your child's sleep at that age. It's wonderful. And gosh, when we started writing this book about teenagers, it's just so much more, it's so much more complicated, but actually also exciting in a way, because we want families to also be able to envision what, you know, success means in the home. Does it mean having 7 activities and, you know, getting into an Ivy League school? Or does it mean having a happy, connected family that is balanced and finds interesting projects that they love? You know, I feel like it's an opportunity for families to really examine their priorities and what's important to them too.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Do you both have personal experience? I'm curious as to where your passion came from to write a book like this together. I mean, there had to be something that's like, I'm so passionate about this. I want to write about it.
Yeah, well, we're passionate about sleep. From the moment we met, we couldn't stop talking about sleep. That's why we wrote The Happy Sleeper. But the thing that was compelling about this book, I mean, once we started exploring the crisis of teen sleep and all these factors that had never really been brought together to sort of show the world, like, this is what's happening. Once we started seeing that bigger picture, we literally couldn't not write this book. We felt like teenagers really need help. And we were just very, very passionate about writing it.
I bet. I mean, it seems like it. And I'm so glad you guys are, because I think it's often maybe a problem that's overlooked if your child is having, and I say child, it could be child or even teenager of all those ages, that maybe we don't think maybe they're not getting enough sleep, right? Maybe that's the part of it that we attribute it to so many other things. Do you hear that as well?
Definitely. We would say that sleep is the place to start with a lot of things that parents worry about. Mental health is a big one. So when you're sleep deprived, your risk of depression goes up by 2 or 3 times. Wow. So it doubles or triples the risk of depressive thoughts and feelings of hopelessness or thoughts of suicide in teenagers. So it's literally like the place to start with mental health.
It's so funny. And I don't mean this in a morbid way, but I always would, you would hear the saying, you can sleep when you're dead. I hated that saying, because it's like, no, if you don't get enough sleep, your body is going to go to a place to where it doesn't want to go. That's like, you need sleep now so you don't get there.
That's right.
It's such a mentality that we want to change. Sleep helps you with all of these mental health issues. It helps you with your performance and focus and memory. It helps you with your immune system. It helps you, teens don't care this much about this, but it helps you with long-term health. It helps you live longer. It helps with.
I remember at 16, you're thinking, well, I don't need to talk about that. I'm going to live forever. That's many, many years from now, Yeah, and then it creeps up on you and you're like, oh gosh, it's getting here, right? It's creeping in. Are there any other tips or words of wisdom that you could leave our viewers or our listeners with before we let you go?
Yeah. So it sounds really problematic. The way we talk about it is like, this is a really big problem, but the good news is Julie and I are sleep specialists. So the book is full of information about how to change habits. And one of the things we really like is for people to understand how the brain clock controls sleep. So one of the things we have parents and teens do is pick a schedule that allows them to wake up at the same time or within 1 or 2 hours. When you were a teenager, you could sleep in till like 11 a.m.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, well, they're filling up on sleep. That's great. They're making up for lost sleep, but it causes a jet lag in the brain. So that's something that we walk parents through and teenagers through in the book. So we recommend waking up at the same time. Within 1 or 2 hours of your regular wake up time and getting 5 to 10 minutes of sun when you first wake up.
Oh, interesting.
That's one of the things that parents and teens can do right away that really helps.
See, Julie, I feel like this is advice that I can take with me. Like, I don't need to be a teenager again, because I'm far from that now. But I mean, this is the advice that we could all use, right?
It's absolutely true. A lot of us, Heather and I have learned a lot, even more about sleep, writing this book about circadian rhythms and about how our bodies really love regularity around sleep and how they really love to be in tune with the sun as it rises and sets. So there's a lot of good information in the practical side that's relevant to everyone. And, for you with a 9-year-old, getting ready and being sure that you're holding on to that early structure, parking devices outside the room at least an hour before bed and that kind of thing.
I like that. That's a good one to hold on to, especially in this day and age. It's interesting though, that you talk about with the bodies kind of going with the sun and like the nighttime. I used to work an early morning shift. So I had to be at work at 3:30 a.m. live at 4:30 when I used to work in Kansas City. And I'm telling you, I mean, again, especially after I had my baby, I'm like, sleep deprivation is real. But even that time before, it was so weird because your body was like not designed to do that. Like it couldn't figure it out and understand. It was like, you're supposed to be asleep right now. So there really is something with that, isn't there?
Yeah. It's not just about how much you sleep. It's about the timing of your sleep, because your sleep is controlled by literally a clock in your brain. So that your brain clock, even if you are sleeping, relatively enough throughout the day, if it's not at the right time, your body is confused.
Yeah. Our bodies need sleep, period.
Lifestyle Live. Lifestyle Live.
Thank you, ladies, so much. Please let me know, where can we find the Happy Sleeper?
The Happy Sleeper, the website is the Happy Sleeper. So that's where you can find all the information for all our books and our sleep consultations. And then Generation Sleepless is the new book, and that's out everywhere.
Wonderful. Heather, Julie, thank you both so much for joining us this morning. I have a feeling we're going to help out a lot of families out there. A lot of teenagers get the sleep they need. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Lifestyle Live Podcast. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And connect for even more on Facebook and at lifestylelive.tv.
Faces you know and a team you can trust. Stories that form your heart.